We need to operationalize ideas. We have a lot of ideas to solve problems of the world.
How can we build and scale the new business models, products and services, marketplaces, partnerships, and alliances that will strengthen our resilience in the areas of food security, public health and wellness, education, and social cohesion and culture?
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I think that was a really good introduction, no, from our MDM team, no, on showing what we may expect, no, from tonight's discussion. Yeah. Good evening again. My name is Erwin Dotimas, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's edition of MDM Live, no, which is a weekly event wherein we cater to a lot of interesting discussion for us to be aware of technologies, innovation, and new topics, no, that would allow people to appreciate more on what's happening during this time we call the pandemic. No? Um, today's MDM live session would be catering to another interesting discussion, as we have invited guests, no, from the previous batches of AIM in 2018, no, fellow MDM graduates who are from the 2018 batch, who are all educators and has been around in the education industry, and also a fellow 2020 MDM student, no, who's also a teacher. And as I said, no, our topic for today would be about innovation in education. We've entitled this "Innovating Education and Educating for Innovation." So, without much ado, I would like to already start our discussion by introducing first our guest speakers. So we are very lucky to have four educators and advocates, no, who are joining in our discussion. The first one would be the executive director of AHA Learning Center. No, he's also from the MDM 2018 cohort. Let's all welcome Jayton Zulueta.
Hello.
Hi, Jayton.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, we later on, Dayton and the rest of our guest speakers will be answering very interesting questions and share with us, their experiences pre and post the pandemic. No, so we are also welcoming in our panel the vice principal of, correct me if I pronounce it properly, Fuentes Choling Higher Secondary Education. No, he's also an MDM 2018 batch, a graduate. No, we have here Vice Principal Yeshi Nidup. Hi, Yeshi. Good evening. The only female, no, in our member of the panel, but also one of a very strong advocate of education. She's also my classmate. I'm very proud to be her classmate from batch MDM 2020. She's a teacher, from Ampid National High School. Let's all welcome as well, Tisha Kaburian. Hi,
Good
Tisha.
evening.
Good evening. So we have one more, but I think he's just into a very important situation. But later on, we hope that he'll still be able to join us, and I'll be introducing him later as he joins our discussion. So yes, so with that, allow me to ask you some questions that would hopefully help our viewers tonight, to understand more about our topic. No? So before, I'm sure before the pandemic, all of you has been going through your normal activities in life, doing your profession and whatnot, no? Sharing your respective talents to people around. But I'd like to understand so we can set the context before we move on to our discussion. No? How are things with your respective fields before the pandemic hit us? No? So maybe to help our um, um, viewers as well understand what you were doing, and then how things were being done according to the expectation or mandate of your respective teams. No? So how was it? No? Maybe we can probably start with um, Yeshi, would it be okay if I ask you first a question? How are things in your area, before the pandemic hit?
Thank you, uh, Mr. Arvind, and good evening to all the guest speakers here and my fellow mate, Mr. Jeton. I'm happy
Yeah.
to I'm happy and glad to see you back after a long time.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Uh,
You're looking very well.
Thank you,
Good.
thank you. Uh, Regarding the question that you asked, well, before the pandemic, everything was fairly good enough. Everything was moving as planned and as intended. But to be honest, nobody dreamt and nobody expected that such a pandemic would strike and distort the whole system, not only just the education system, but all the systems that were put in place were completely distorted. So this was a complete and a big shock for each and every one of us, not just in education system, but outside the education system. Uh, However, with the small population and with the very good leadership in place, leaders who are who have better understanding of this kind of situation, I think Bhutan is doing quite well. Bhutan was doing well before this pandemic, and even at this current situation with the pandemic, we are very proud to say that we are handling the situation very well compared to rest of the countries.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, so it's like just the normal going through the education system, teaching the students, going to school and going back to school, and then all of a sudden something disrupted, the way things, and then that's how Bhutan, from your perspective, has moved forward. No, thank you for that very quick in the context setting, on how things were back in your area. What about um, Jayton? I understand. Yeah, even prior the pandemic was um, creating a lot of damages to our system. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've already been doing AHA Learning Center even prior to that.
Yes, sir, for 11 years. So I run a free after school program called AHA Learning Center that creates ecosystems of support and opportunity for low performing public school kids. Prior, we were doing a lot of community centers, and we still had and I'm sure my friend Tisha can illustrate how much of a learning crisis we were already in pre-pandemic in terms of our international standing being the worst in reading, in math, and in science in the recently conducted PISA results. And I guess what changed with our sector, which I am representing the educational nonprofit sector,
Mm-hmm.
was that our funding, which was connected mostly to doing events face to face,
Mm-hmm.
we had to look for creative ways to go about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had to also figure out a way that we can teach our students who mostly do not have access to gadgets and internet.
Right.
I'd like to, I think, I know Tisha has a lot to say about this, so maybe I'd like to pass it on to her since we were coming from more or less the same context.
Right. Yeah, Tisha, anything you would like to add or supplement on what Jayton has mentioned?
Yan. Hi, good evening again.
Okay.
Yes, pre-pandemic situation in education system is actually we're facing a lot of problems already. One is the low literacy, correct? That's the first problem. Low literacy in terms of the science and mathematics, and also in English for reading. So the learning, the after school learning is really helpful for students who cannot really read and understand what they're reading. Uh, and they reach the secondary level. Sorry, Jayton, but I'm from secondary level. So I cannot really talk about the condition or the situation of the elementary students. But for us, even in our school, since Jayton just came to Rizal, I think prior pandemic, right? But we weren't able to experience the AHA Learning Center yet. But in school, in MP National High School, we actually have some programs to help students who cannot read after school. One of my co-teacher, Miss Veronica Cruz, and the English department of MP National High School is actually, that was last year. Every Saturday, they help, remember in public school, we really help students, or we identify students who cannot read. Before, that is actually part of their assessment when they enroll. There is a reading comprehension test. So if we identify that the students cannot really read, they have to attend the after school or every Saturday for that reading program. It is actually a program of the Rizal, the DepEd Rizal, that teachers, English teachers should really help students who cannot read. Another, that is every Saturday they do that. And then second, we do the remedial classes also. You know naman the condition of the students in the public school, that our school is very small. Our classroom is also small. We have 80 students per class. And then, you know, a lot of Filipino children now they really clamor for education because, you know, this is the only answer to help them go out from poverty.
Right.
So they really attend. So if you're from grade 9, which is afternoon shift, you have to come to school earlier, 11 a.m., so that you can attend your remedial class in math or in science, if you have a schedule for that. So what Mr. Jayton was doing, especially AHA Learning Center, is really a big help for public school students, because let's accept it, my co-teachers and I cannot really cope with the demands, because remember, the population in our school, the population now presently is 2,000, and we're only 73 teachers. So I don't know what's going to happen, or
Right.
I think we are coping, but maybe it's a good partnership with private and public sectors, that this pandemic can really help us make education for all, especially for the poor students in the public school.
Right. Thank you, Tisha. No, so yeah, I can hear that there's already um, a continuing partnership happening, no, at least specifically for between your organization, your region, at least your education system region, Tisha, and AHA Learning Center of Jayton. And I've taken note here that pre-COVID, no, there are already many challenges in the education sector that you have been encountering, and you've been coming up with a lot of programs, no, to make sure that you're able to arrest that. At least arrest, not necessarily totally eradicate, no, but of course the intention is to really eradicate all these education related problems, right? Um, but given what happened now, I'm sure there are a lot more challenges that came about, and I also want to understand now, and also for the benefit of our viewers, know how things have evolved now that we are entering into a new system, a new way of doing things. And basically probably would like to ask you, what do you mean by a new normal in your context, in your respective fields, no? What is a new normal for you? How do you define that? Maybe we can start with Jayton perhaps first for now, no? And then let's hear it from Yeshi after.
Hello. Hi, everybody. This is my son, Arturo. Arturo for teach. So, well, with us, we had to figure out no internet needed solutions. So we shifted into a couple of different interventions. We went into text-based learning and created 500 text-based learning lessons for mental health that translated COVID news, and was able to partner with the Department of Health and the Department of Education in our region. We've trained 54,000 teachers in Zoom in 16 school divisions on how to use this system. And then we've been able to record 100 educational content in radio, Turo Bear, sorry guys. In radio, okay. While this baby was growing up. So I think that's the biggest achievement. Well, I think that it was a team effort. A lot of stakeholders, a lot of community partners, and still I feel like we're nowhere near finding the solution. Still, I feel like we're working with a lot of unknowns. I can't say we're a success yet, but we are part of the solution. And my heart goes out to the frontliners that we support, Trisha and all of our co-teachers in Rizal, because while we, the nonprofits and the government, are scrambling to figure out what solution would work, on the ground it changes by day.
Right.
So it's really, and I think Yeshi can also share this, it's really a problem not just of access but infrastructure. So we really can't blame also the government for all of this, because the things that needed to be built for us to be able to be prepared for this pandemic and learning would have taken decades of infrastructure and preparation.
Right.
So I think my friend, my handsome friend from Bhutan, has similar issues and problems.
Yeah. Jayton, before I move to Yeshi, maybe very, very quickly,
Sure.
one question as well that I wanted to clarify with you. The pandemic, nobody actually expected that to happen. No? And then before that, you mentioned that you're already working with schools like that of Tisha's, to deliver programs that would help alleviate challenges in the schooling system. But how fast was your organization able to respond, to the call of the need, for you to transition to a new way of providing services, to your I would say customers, or to the students that you're catering to.
Well, I think that we were able to rapidly adjust, because a lot of people asked us that on how we grew quickly, because we were only servicing 300 students, and now we've serviced around 16,000. A lot, and we haven't had teacher training before. And I think it was out of the need. So I think we were going from need to need. And as we gotten little by little, as we got a couple of wins, then we started experimenting and playing around. I wouldn't recommend that kind of system for anybody, but I guess going back to the MDM program, I did feel like I was in MDM again, experimenting and iterating and talking with a bigger class.
Right.
My classmates were deaf head officials, parents. It was a bigger class, and I feel like that mentality of looking at it as a learning experience and a learning experiment helped us adjust as quickly as we did. Because everything I said was in 6 months.
Wow, within 6 months.
Within 4 months actually.
Wow, even more. That's really fast, So
Yeah.
So I think what I'm getting from what I'm learning from what you're sharing is that definitely it would have been not as successful as others would have done that, because it's quite a risky approach, right? But
I don't think it's as successful as, we're still in the middle of it, right, Tisha? we can't say we won just yet.
Right, right,
We're
right.
trying our best, but we're trying.
Yeah. But yeah, Jayton is really very level-headed, and I was very fortunate not to listen to his story before, no, during when he guested in one of our sessions during term two, and I really truly appreciate and find it inspiring how he mobilized very very quickly, to respond to a need, that was brought up by the challenges of the COVID-19. Okay, so again, thank you for that, Jayton, and I hope you continue doing what is best, no, for the people that is needing your services. So yeah, I move on to you. Jadon mentioned about an approach which is possibly the new normal, at least for his organization, no? To teach student despite the challenges of connectivity. No, there is no internet, but they're looking for other means, no, to be able to deliver, no, the education requirement of their students. No, what about in Bhutan? What's the new normal in Bhutan now?
Okay. Thank you, Jayton, for always inspiring us. Here, in the context of my schools and particularly my school in Bhutan, let me first share you some of the challenges. Then I will also like to connect with some of the things that we are putting in place to overcome these challenges. For the schools, for our school, there were lot many challenges. Firstly, the teachers and students were not prepared for virtual teaching and learning. Almost all of them and all of us did not have much idea about all those facilities such as Google Classroom, Google Forms, Google Sheets, the the Zooms, and all those apps that are available, which we can readily use and implement for online teaching.
Mm-hmm.
This was something new for many of us.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the schools, as I shared before, did not have a strong internet connection. That was the biggest challenge. And thirdly, the schools did not have proper infrastructure in place,
Mm-hmm.
no enough facilities, which is very much required for the smooth implementation of virtual teaching and learning. And fourthly, the parents were very new to this kind of situation, and they were also not prepared. And at the same time, most of the parents coming from the poor background, they were not able to pay for the internet and the charges that is required.
Mm-hmm.
So these were some of the pertinent issues and challenges for parents, students, and as well as the teachers.
Okay.
Now, having said that, now with the given situation, we have to switch over the classroom from the real classroom to the virtual classroom, either through Zoom or through Google Classroom or any other platforms that are available. Now, for the Bhutan and Bhutanese teachers and students, we are yet to find out the better solution. We are still struggling. We are still struggling, and we are trying to explore what could be the better options or platform for the Bhutanese students and teachers to continue our education despite the pandemics being in and around us. So as of now, to be honest with you, with the facilities available, with the internet connection in here in Bhutan, and with the development that is taking place in and around us, we are still behind many of the countries. We are not still able to bring in the best technology or provide best platform to our students and teachers. So we are still uh, in dilemma where to go and how to go. So we are expecting to learn from our fellow speakers here, and this may help me and our organization to adopt and adjust some of the approach that is being implemented in Philippines and in rest of the countries. So to also share how we are adapting or how we are handling with this new normal.
Mm-hmm.
For the Bhutanese, new normal for us, adapting, adjusting, adopting, and accommodating. These are the only ways and means that we have in order to move along with this new normal. We have, as I said, we don't have the luxury of facilities. We don't have enough budget. We don't have enough human resource. So given this situation, the only way we can move forward is adapt, adjust, adopt, and accommodate. So that's what we are doing as of now.
All right. So a lot of adopting, adjusting, and accommodating. These are the things that you're currently doing, to adjust to the new normal. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So when is your school system starting? I mean, when is the classes opening in Bhutan?
For your information, uh, for the normal academic session, our school starts in the month of February.
Mm-hmm.
We start in the month of February, and our summer vacation starts in the month of July for a
Okay.
month. Then the school ends by December 18th. But as of now, we have changed everything, and
Mm-hmm.
now our school session will close in the month of March. The exam has been postponed and shifted to the March. So we will be ending our school sessions in the month of March. So that's a new thing that we are bringing in to handle with this situation.
So part of the new normal is to change as well, no, the routine,
Yes.
the regular schedule.
Yes,
And
that's
again,
why I was saying that we are adjusting and accommodating.
right. That's yeah.
Thank
Again,
you.
that's part of the strategy: adapting, adjusting, and accommodating. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yes, yeah. What about in your area, Tisha? How are things? How's the new normal in your school?
For us in MP National High School, let me summarize that into three things. One, preparation for redesigning the learning experience using different materials. So actually, yes, she and I, we almost share the same sentiments, or maybe what we call it is unprepared shift
Mm-hmm.
or transition, right? So remember, we changed from the our curriculum. Not really. We have now what we call the most essential or MELS, most essential learning competencies. So immediately we adopted the mandated curriculum by the Department of Education. So again, we have to make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing is the same as just Yesy, sorry. We have to learn fastly the online tools. Remember, we're from San Mateo Rizal. We have
Right.
also issues with connectivity. We also have issues with the gadgets available. And of course, sometimes in some areas in San Mateo, electricity is another concern. Okay, so and then another is coping. This is a big change.
Mm-hmm.
We teachers are actually used in the 40 minutes classroom
Right.
time.
Yeah.
But now, with this new learning modality, the schedule now is 2 hours per class.
Mm-hmm.
But just for example, in science, we'll just meet twice a week, and then in a month, something like that. We change it. And another thing, um, I think the adjustment is really helpful in the sense that the partnership of parents, the LGU to help the students have their gadgets,
Mm-hmm.
and also the my co-teachers and the officials in the Department of Education to really help the parents decide
Mm-hmm.
what learning modality would you like your daughters or your sons to have. They were able to define it. Those who can really afford or have the access to online,
Mm-hmm.
they signed up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then those who have concerns with unstable connectivity, they sign up for blended learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those who think they have no budget really for internet connection, so they opted for what we call self-paced learning module.
Mm.
And then my co-teachers this morning was so busy actually piling up the modules and then bringing them to the different barangay hall.
Right.
And then the parents were actually waiting for the teachers for the distribution. So I really would like to congratulate my co-teachers for sacrificing and doing their job well for the distribution of the self-paced learning materials for the students of San Mateo.
Right. Right. All right. So I'm hearing a lot of again challenges that you've been encountering. A lot of adapting, and adjusting, to uh, to the changes that happened because of what COVID-19 has caused, to our economy, not just in our economy but also in our education system. And I also acknowledge that there are a lot of strategies and innovation already being introduced by your respective teams. Okay. So, given, for example, that you have already lined up those plans and possible innovations, if you were given a chance to um, s- continue or choose, the innovations that you have started doing by the time of the pandemic happened, what are these things that you want to invest in the future? So you can, I don't know, maybe find it a sustainable means, to keep us be able to adjust and adapt, to the situation. So what are these possible innovation that you have started doing or have in mind that you want to invest more in the future? Maybe anyone could share their thoughts on that question. Anyone who would want to share their thoughts on that? Tisha, you have something you want to share? Kasi I think you're preparing to unmute, no?
Uh, I I'm a little bit Mr. Jayton maybe can help me with this. Uh, Sir, there is remember AHA Learning Center is something that is very interesting. So now that remember the guided learning is now I don't know if we call it maybe just a supplementary because AHA Learning Center can really help students in the absence of their parents, teachers can help them, di ba, in AHA Learning Center. Tama ba ako, sir? Uh, but anyway, I have this research that I'm doing with AIM.
Mm.
It's called Focus Learning, or what we call English, Math, Science Learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, but this is still raw. So I have to really ask my mentors and my teachers about this. But this is target to target the literacy problem that
Mhm.
our students are experiencing right now, or the education system is actually having. So the focus now is to redesign the curriculum into 3 subjects instead of having the 8 subjects. The English, using English as of course the medium of instruction, and then science, okay, science incorporating other subjects. So there will be 4 subjects na lang because remember Filipino we cannot really avoid Filipino
Mhm.
because I'm a Filipino and
Right. Right.
it is mandated by the executive order that Filipino subjects should be part of the education system.
Mhm.
So science, math, and English will incorporate or we will include other subjects there like Araling Panlipunan.
Mhm.
We have MAPE. We also have PLE,
Mhm.
or we could actually incorporate. So in short, it's STEM in junior high. I just hope Mr. Jayton can inspire me also he can really how he really started having AHA Learning Center and what really motivated him to put up the AHA Learning Center, but it's something like that.
Uh,
Yeah, Jayton.
I just wanted to say thank you for thinking of us that highly. But I think now more than ever, we need to kind of manage two things. I think resources and your expectations and objectives. Uh, Now more than ever, we find that a lot of our initiatives are dictated by resources, which aren't only financial. Like the number of pages in your lesson plan will dictate how much your printing costs, will dictate how many lessons a student gets per week. The number of pages in your lesson plan will also dictate the number of hours that your student will have to go online. So I think there has to be a very I like what you said, because initially you're just trying to figure out what is the base minimum that they need to learn.
Mm.
But I think we have a project now with the Office of the Vice President where we're putting up community hubs, face-to-face community hubs all over the country. We're one of the partners, and I think what I like about that project in particular was that it wasn't an end-to-end solution. It just created a venue for collaboration between local government, schools, and NGOs or people that have best practices or ideas that they want to try on small scales. I think that we have to kind of shift our mindset from surviving to thriving.
Right.
And given the resources that we have, given this situation, I think maybe it's overrated to keep saying it's once in a lifetime, because there are models in Africa where they had education continue with Ebola virus. We are partnered with a group from Africa that gave us 500 lessons free to record. And we're in the process of recording it and sending it MP3 players. And we're confident to do this because they've done it already. So I think we as teachers, we come into these learning sessions thinking, okay, whatever I learn, I have to apply. But I think maybe the new mindset is whatever I learn, okay, whatever I learn, is there somebody out there that's doing this that I can work with? Or how can I talk to the person who shared? Because honestly, we've done so many seminars and very, very few collaborations.
Right.
Versus like our contemporaries in Africa that go to these seminars with agendas in mind. I think that sense of urgency and that sense of collaboration is something that might be missing. And I'm not sure if it's an ASEAN thing, or I'm not sure if it's a post-colonial thing that we just want to wait for the authority to figure it out when we can actually create our own solutions.
Thank you, Jayton. No, there's a question here, no, from I think one of our viewers, no, that I would want to ask Yeshi. No, Yeshi, there's a question about what percentage of the teachers in Bhutan are prepared in a virtual classroom.
Thank you for the question. I'm not sure if I will be able to give the accurate numbers and
At least an estimate, yeah.
But through my experience, if I share you, as I shared earlier, not all the teachers were aware of all these platforms that we can use for virtual teaching and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that only a handful of teachers were aware of these platforms. So approximately 70 to 80% of the teachers were not really exposed to this virtual teaching learning.
Mm-hmm.
Having known this, our Ministry of Education took an initiative in the beginning, before the closing of the schools. They took an initiative to at least give some basic training and ideas about virtual teaching and learning, especially like Google Classroom. So that somehow helped our teachers to prepare to handle the virtual teaching and learning. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then in continuation to that, let me link with what Tisha and what my friend Jeton shared. In order to adapt to this new normal, there are so many factors that we need to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Out of which, for me, mindset is very crucial. We need to have a very positive and growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also need to have a broader sense of our understanding that is happening within us and even around us.
Mm-hmm.
Only a person who can understand the self and others in and around us, I think then we will be able uh, to come up with new ideas, a new approach, and also get self motivated
Right.
to carry out some of the strategies, plan out some activities for the benefit of other people in and around us. And that's exactly what my friend Jetun is doing. His aha came out of his own passion because of his understanding of the needs of our children for the better future.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first and foremost thing is we need to really focus on the mindset of a person to have a physical and mental strength. That is very important to handle this and also to adapt with this new normal that we call.
Yeah. So I'm sensing a lot of awareness on what you're saying, awareness of your surroundings and empathy. No,
Yeah.
Yeshi, that's what I'm getting, from what you're saying. No. So in the interest of time, I have two more questions probably to ask our guest speakers. So the second to the last would be, with all these strategies that you've shared, that your respective schools and institutions are doing, as an impact leader or a teacher, an educator, what is your role on these strategies? What has been your contribution, or basically your role, in making sure that these strategies will be happening or happening? Anyone who would want to start answering the question?
Okay, I'll continue.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Jesse.
thank you for the question. Uh, for for me as of now, since I'm working in the government school, uh, I I did not have much opportunity to expand my role, but in a small way in the school, in the context of my own school, I took the lead in the beginning of the year to train and to prepare my teachers for virtual teaching and learning. I was the one to coordinate, plan out, and even train my teachers and students to prepare for the virtual teaching and learning. So what helped me was that when I was at AIM, my thesis was about the use of ICT in strengthening science education in the middle and higher secondary schools in Bhutan. And some of the strategies that I developed in that thesis uh, became really applicable to this situation. It came out as if that I knew in 2018 that something like this situation would arise into 2020.
It
Mm-hmm.
So
was
it was
awarded, right? The best thesis
yes,
of our
yes,
batch.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yes. So it came out like a blessing for me because of that thesis I was able to handle the situation better than most of my fellow teachers here in Bhutan. So that's what I would like to share
Mm-hmm.
with you as of now.
So yes, if I understood it correctly, it's really more close coordination and being on hands-on, no, in making sure that whatever has been planned is being done according to how it should be. And
Yes.
what I'm getting from what you're saying is that your learnings, no, from AIM, taking up MDM in 2018, has prepared you to be who you are now in handling these challenges that you're encountering, because of the pandemic.
That's true. So I'm really grateful that I went to AIM and got this opportunity.
Sure.
So it has prepared me better, and then I'm very confident at this time to speak and say that I can handle the situation better than many of my colleagues here in Bhutan.
That's
I
good.
hope I'll not hurt my fellow mates here.
Yeah.
Uh, at the same time, Tisha was earlier mentioning about her teacher colleagues making a lot of sacrifice. And I also feel that at this time, sacrifice is really required because without if we are not ready to sacrifice, I think we will not be able to handle the situation better than this. So for my case, I am away from my family. My family is 6 to 7 hours away. So I'm living apart from my family because I'm relocated in a new school. So this is also a sacrifice from my side. And then I'm trying to be with my students and educate them and provide them my service in times of need. So I feel that sacrifice is another important thing that we all must do at this point of time to handle the situation better.
Right. A lot of social costs and serving others. So that's basically very MDM. No. What about
Yes.
Jayton? Anything you want to share about your role in the strategies and probably what MDM has contributed, no, to make you ready, no,
Uh,
for this particular situation?
I don't know because I feel like we've gone through so many. I think that with MDM, it was a weird time in my life.
Uh huh.
Uh, right? Yes, it's a weird year to
Yeah.
spend. But I think if I was gonna look back at our batch in particular, we all needed that time to reflect and figure out
Mm-hmm.
what our role in the ecosystem would be. It was definitely almost like going to school again and trying to figure out. It's like figuring out what course you want to take again, and I was blessed with having a lot of good mentors who eventually became my collaborators and
Mm-hmm.
some board members also, maybe one or two board members there. And I feel like that process of vetting, I've always I don't think that education creates leaders or creates you. I feel like you come in and it enhances what's already there or what's been latent. Um, and I believe that everybody, whether you're in tech, whether you work in agriculture, whether you work in any sphere of government, has a stake in education. And I believe that there's a role that we all can play in it. And what seems to be our role in the ecosystem is a place to play and try things out. Try things out effectively in small pockets of hope. And if they do well, then we scale. I feel like now more than ever, that kind of mindset is lost in a lot of educational organizations who think that putting up maybe 10 or 20 webinars is part of the work when the work is really in the doing. It's difficult to hear because I feel like policy making and reform are sexier things to do, but things or people like Trisha who come in every day and talk and meet these students, it's a difficult job. And we don't have enough talent in that area. Not to say that they're not talented, but
Mm-hmm.
there's just not enough people on the ground sacrificing to go to their family, sacrificing being away from their families like Yeshi. There's not enough people like that.
Right.
So I hope that there's a shift of some sort
Uh-huh.
to community-based um, impact work. And I hope that we don't think that, because I feel like most of us plan what we want to do based on the funding available.
Mm.
And ADB, all of these different groups, UN, they are USAID. It's an old
Yeah.
it's an old traditional way of doing education projects that are quick, 3 to 6 months. You don't see anything really for that. The longer term projects, which I know USAID is doing, which I know ADB is trying to do, require people like Yeshi and Tisha on the ground
Yeah. Yeah.
to figure things out long enough for the students to mature. So I feel like that's our role in all of this.
Right.
And I'm excited to hear what Tisha has to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Jayton. Tisha.
Um, I'm a bit inspired by Jayton. As a teacher one, it's sometimes we don't hear people appreciate our efforts. And remember, when you're in a classroom of 80 students, it's really difficult with a very small classroom. And it's, remember, the body heat of children plus your presence in front of the class, it's really different. But now with this new setup, it's the teachers, or it's our role as teachers to really break down all the walls and the barriers to prevent students, and which actually we have to break all the walls that actually prevent students from accessing and enjoying high quality education. Remember, we serve the underprivileged students, and this is our actually this is more of a service now than being in the classroom. Remember, we have pandemic.
Mm.
Go to different stations just to bring the modules. Aside from the preparation of the modules that we have to recreate
Mhm.
in for what the span of from March up to August, remember. So, and we really have to ensure that these multiple pathways of learning can accommodate every student, whether he has internet or whether he has no internet. So aside from that, to deliver the high quality education is now very challenging because they're in their own respective homes, and the engagement between teachers and students will just be the module, the paper,
Right.
or good for some who can really talk to the teachers through the internet or through their Google Meet or through their Facebook. So good if they can reach out, but I encourage students really to reach out to their teachers to help to just access what the guidance of their teachers in answering the modules.
Mhm.
Because let's accept the reality that not all parents can help their children study in school because they're busy working also. And this journey toward embracing online for, of course, our school leaders and decision makers, hopefully they should also give us support, because sometimes we use our own funds that sometimes it should be for the family, but we actually spend it because we really have to extend it to our students. So I hope in the future they will really listen to the bottom or the teachers in the real situation, that these are the things that we experience.
Mhm.
Remember, we are taking the risk of not only, we are actually doing our part, we're teaching.
Mhm.
However, this transition is a bit painful right now
Mhm.
because not all teachers are technologically ready,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Thank you to Jayton for training and other partners of Department of Education. And aside from that, I'm so happy also pala to inform you, Erwin, that last September 30, the Secretary Briones actually launched the television broadcasting
Wow.
Teped
distance
TV.
learning. Yes,
Nice.
so
Nice.
hopefully this could really help our students also.
Right, right, right. All right. Okay. Thank you. Those are really very interesting insights and information that you have shared, no, to our audience who have decided to stay along
Can
with us.
I can I add
Yeah,
can I
sure.
add one thing to what Giselle said? Giselle, sorry, Tisha said.
Sure.
Giselle's message came up, but I feel like I hope that the conversation shifts to, okay, what is the government doing? That
Mm-hmm.
conversation, there's a lot of people in that,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe the shift can go into the details in which the teachers and students and the struggles that they're going through,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the conversation can shift into what can we do from where we are to make things a little bit better, what
Right,
can we do from where we are to learn from people from Bhutan, what
right,
can we do from what we are to make this work.
yeah,
And so few conversations go that way, and I
right,
think that at this point we can't waste any time with situationers. We just
right.
have to figure out concrete ways to help the people on the ground.
Yeah, quickly respond, no, to the needs, no, and then reach out to people who might really need the services and support that we can extend to them, no. So speaking of support and any help that we can extend, probably anything you want to say to the audience who are watching us, who might want to volunteer or contribute to your cause. I'm sure in Bhutan there would be people also watching in our live forecast now. And also, maybe you can also ask them if there is anything that you want to say, to our audience on that perspective. Anyone? Okay. So I guess that's it, no. So if there would be people in our audience who might be interested, no, to contribute or volunteer, no, to help the advocacy of our educators here, and yeah, the advocates of quality education in the Philippines, especially in times of the pandemic, no. So please just feel free to drop a note. Maybe you can email that to mdm@aim.edu, no, and then yeah, if you also have any other questions or topics that you might want to discuss pertaining to what we have already here, or anything that you find very interesting as well, again, please email mdm@aim.edu. Anything that you might want to add more, our speakers? We are about to end our interesting discussion today. I know you will still have to attend to some other items after our session. So with that, again, I would like to
Bye.
thank
MDM 2018, the best.
good.
Yeshi.
So
Thank
maybe
you.
maybe when we
Classmate.
graduate, Tisha and I, we can also say MDM 2020 the best, no?
So let's have a battle
Well,
between
well,
20 and
we need to prove that, Erwin, to
Yeah,
them.
that's why I said after we graduate, because we are
We
still,
need to prove that we're the
No.
best.
MDM the best. I misspoke. MDM the best.
yeah,
You have to work together.
yeah.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Jayton, and again, we would like to thank everyone, no, for staying with us. No, if you have other questions, you might just leave it in our live MDM live in FB, and then we'll do our best to get in touch with you to respond to these questions. And then again, we enjoin everybody to join our community Viber. It's available in our page. And yeah, so this is just again one night of very interesting discussion with these thought leaders and impact leaders. So with that, thank you very much, and we wish you a very safe and peaceful night, no, for today and then the following days ahead of us. Thank you very much again, Tisha, Yeshi. Thank you. Please take care,
thank
and
you.
I'll see you again.
See you.
We need to operationalize ideas. We have a lot of ideas to solve problems of the world.
How can we build and scale the new business models, products and services, marketplaces, partnerships, and alliances that will strengthen our resilience in the areas of food security, public health and wellness, education, and social cohesion and culture?